Sandra again, back with part 2 of yesterday's project, where we made this envelope with this little tic-tac box and our beautiful shabby chic flower. And you may remember that when I put my flower together, I had my leaves already cut and prepared, and they were in mint macaron, and that annoyed me so much that before I decided to do part 2, I thought I've got to change those flowers. So I have cut out the same leaves in Always Artichoke cardstock instead, because I thought that that matched up and made it stand out more. So it was doing my head in, so I had to change it. So that's what I've done with that, just to recap on that. So we've made our card, we've made our envelope, we've made our tic-tac box, and we've done our shabby chic flowers. So today is part 2, and we're going to make this beautiful gift card. And so we're going to get on with that now. So I'll move that to one side. So I've prepped up all my bits that are needed for this. So in order to do the card front, we need a piece of card. This measures 11.5 by 6 inches, which is 29 by 15.2 centimetres. And this card front that is prepped up here measures 5 5/8 by 3 3/4. These are the Sassy framelit dies here, which, first of all, this is the Happy Hearts embossing folder, which I ran through my big shot to get that beautiful heart pattern on it. These are the Sweet and Sassy, I love these, framelit dies. I adore these, making loads of projects with them at the moment. I really think they're great. So many different sizes. I've used for my card this large size here and this size here, which layer up on top like that. So that's what I've used for that. Then my designer series paper, which I've used inside the card, measures 5 5/8 by 3.5 inches, which is 14.5 by 9 centimetres. And my card inserts with my sentiment measure, the Sahara Sand measures 5 5/8 by 3 7/8, which is 14 by 10 centimetres. And my Whisper White measures 5 3/8 by 3 5/8, and that's 12 by 8 centimetres. So we're going to start off by scoring our long piece for the actual main body of the card. And I'll get my scoring tool. So you put it on your scoring board, the 11.5 inch side or the 29 centimetre side, and we're going to score it at 4 1/8, 5 3/4, 5 3/4, 4 1/8, 5 3/4. Nearly got that wrong. 7 3/8. And that is 10.5 by 14.5 and 18.5. So that's our scoring done on that piece, so we can put the board away. And then we're going to fold and burnish our score lines. So you can see that that comes together like that, and you've got your middle part there where you're going to use your decorative label punch, which is here. You put it into, you open that back out, and you put your decorative label punch in, and you're punching it just before you've got that little indent mark that goes back out, you want to punch it just before then. And you need to, before you punch, you need to line it up and make sure that you've got about an even amount either side. Like that, an even amount there either side. And punch that out, and it's just shot across the floor. Now you'll find that you're left with like a little coming back in shape. Well, you want to straighten that up with your scissors, and you just straighten that up like that on both sides, like that. So now we're going to open that back up, and I've got my extra sticky strip tape here, and what we need to do is we need to stick this down. So you need to run a piece along this back edge here, getting it as close to the back of the edge as you can. And then you need 2 pieces just on each end, just there. Like that. I'm going to get our pokey tool and lift that off. And you lift them all off at once. You just need to make sure that when you put your double-sided tape, you don't get it too near here, because if you put too much tape here, you're not going to get your gift card in. And then you just fold that back on itself, keeping your card nice and straight. Fold that back down on itself, and there you are. You have your beautiful gift card made. So now we're going to stick our embossed part on here, and it's better to use a wet glue on this, or something that's very, very sticky. I'm going to use my fuse. You need something sticky, because where you've got your embossing, it won't adhere down where those creases are unless you use something really quite sticky. So that goes on to the front of our card like that. We're now going to put this on the inside. What happened was I had a sheet of 12, comes as sheets of 12 by 12, and I had a thin slither left over after I'd made the envelope and the little box, and I thought, well, save wasting and having loads of bits and pieces laying around, that I would use it up and make the inside of the card look pretty too. So that's what I've done. So we stick that on the inside of our card. Like that. And now we're going to stamp the sentiment and get that done first. So I'm going to use 3 different inks today for the flowers as well, and my inks today are Soft Sky, Island Indigo and Mint Macaron, and we're going to stamp our sentiment in Mint Macaron. I've already prepped up on the block. I'm using this stamp set, Remembering Your Birthday, and I've prepped up on the block already. There's something really worth celebrating today. You, happy birthday. So we're going to stamp that in the Mint Macaron. I think that's good and inked. Put that straight down and straight up. Looks good. Move that out of the way. So I'm going to stick that to the piece of Sahara sand that I've prepped up. Like that. That goes on the inside of our gift card. And just to show you, I've got a little gift card here, and I'm going to show you that that slides in there a treat. She says, I know, probably haven't notched that out enough. That should be fine now. More fingers and thumbs because I'm on camera. Right, there we are. And it wasn't meant that these colours all match, but that purely coincidental, trust me. So now we're going to do our beautiful picture on the front here, and I started off, in order to get this how I wanted it, I did lots of little paper cutouts and had all these trial runs to try and get the look that I wanted to achieve. I've got the Whisper White piece. I'm going to open up my Pool Party, Soft Sky and Island Indigo. And then the mint macaron is already open. We're going to start by stamping the sentiment. If you stamp the sentiment first, then you know how much space you've got around it to do your little flowers. So straight across there at an angle. I've prepped up on the block. This, by the way, I haven't mentioned this. I've used the penned and painted stamp set for these flowers. It's sort of like a watercolour effect, and I've prepped up on my block already the smaller 3. You need 3 to layer them up. It's done in 3 steps, this stamping. And where are they? These are my 3 that I've prepped up on my block. And you always start with this one first, or that's what I start with, and these have got like little notches cut out so that you know you match up your notches when you stamp, and that's how you get your effect. So I'm going to get a piece of paper that I can stamp onto because I don't want to make a mess on this paper here. So I'm going into the Soft Sky to start with. And you need to remember, I'm having my little notch cut out going that way. So that goes over there and down. Same with this again. Clean that off. And then I'm going to go into the Island Indigo with the next step, but I'm going to stamp off because if I don't, that's going to be too dark. So remember where your notch was, and I've just seen I'm going to start again with that because I don't want that mess on the notch. Let's see. And still on there. Right. And if you look directly above it, you'll see where those 2 little petals are there, you'll see that that imitates it but smaller, and you go straight down and over that like that. So into the Island Indigo, and that's done that again to me. Let's try that again. And press down and over the top. Now I've stuck my fingers in it. Then we finish with the third step, which is this outline of the flower. Into the Island Indigo and over your image like that. That looks pretty. And the same with this. Make sure you follow your notches through. And then on this one here, I've put the little ladybird. So let's get the little ladybird. And I know that the ladybird wouldn't be this colour, but I want it to link in, obviously. So in the Island Indigo and down on here, and where am I going to put him this time? There. I like that. It's a bit of artistic license, really. And then there's what looks like to me the centre of a flower, and I've used that to create little petals around it all. So I've gone in and pressed once and twice so that you've got a fainter look. What colour am I going for now? I'm going to go into the Island Indigo and just do one there. Like that. And I think that finishes it off now. I think that looks pretty. So we'll leave it there. Put away all our inks. Get rid of this. And let's bring in our card. I'll lay down with the bit that I'm layering it onto. So I'm going to layer that on with some snail, like that. And you see that these just look so beautiful, these sassy framelets layered together. I love them. And using dimensionals, I've popped that up on the card. Put that at a nice jaunty angle. Then I've got my white accents, which I used yesterday on the middle of my shabby chic flower. So we're going to put those on our card now. I think that looks nice in the middle of there. And then I'm just going to put another one there. And I think that looks very pretty indeed. So that is our card made today, which goes with our box. And let me just my envelope from yesterday. So that's my envelope from yesterday, which matches that and that. And so I hope you really enjoyed this project, because I really enjoyed making it. So thank you for joining me today, and if I can help you with any supplies or anything, or you like anything that I've used, contact me. I'd love to hear from you. And until my next project, I'll say goodbye for now. So bye.